it's just absolutely incredible.
It feels otherworldly.
I found it to be life-altering.
I can't imagine where I would be without it now.
It's like being basked in love and watching other people being bathed in love at the same time.
I love that it is technically sound. I think it's mechanically effective, and it feels good in my body.
She really believes in the human being as a moving, growing entity, which not all teachers do. There's not this stratification of, oh, you've been moving this long and you've been moving this long and you can do this and you can do that. It's more, no, let's all be in this together and just really relish in the loveliness of the body moving in this sensual way that it can.
I think the thing that I like the most about TBFM, the thinking body, the feeling mind, is that it's the strength and acute awareness of Pilates, and it's the elongation and balance of yoga and alignment. It's the release and subtle awareness of Feldenkrais. It's the flow of dance. It's the healing of somatic therapy. It's all of these things, and it's more than that as well. It's more than the sum of its parts. And I just hope one day to be able to offer other people what Linda has offered me in a few short months.
I've been training with Linda for about 4.5 years. And I found her originally because a friend of mine was at the LMU yoga therapy program and met her at the shoulder girdle weekend, and knew that I had had a lot of problems with my shoulder girdle and my neck and my wrists all the way down, and said, I really think you should meet this woman because I think she could really help you. And number two, she's just really wonderful, and I think you two would hit it off. So I went and attended one of the weekends and definitely got a lot of relief, and was really surprised at how different a lot of the movement patterns were from a lot of the other movement that I've ever seen ever in my life before. And that was already what I did for a career, so I had seen a lot of stuff. And then my problems got a little bit worse, and I found myself going back to Linda for some private work.
I've been practicing since 1986, and then TBFM came into my life and healed a lot of injuries that traditional Hatha yoga had, because I was hypermobile in certain areas, and those areas got me through the postures because it was all about achieving these postures. And that's the thing I love about TBFM, is it's not about achieving a posture, it's about finding what the body can do, what can it do, and honoring what the body can do.
I don't know exactly how I found my way to her, but I do know that I've spent a lot of my life trying to be more comfortable in my body. And I've tried lots of yoga and often ended up injuring myself because they would say assume a pose, but they wouldn't tell me what part of my body to move or how to move. And the first night I went to one of Linda's retreats, we were doing this very simple pose on the floor, and she looked at me and she said, Tamara, move your leg from your hip socket. And I had a totally different experience than anything I'd had before. I had a lot of pain and illness in my early life and wasn't allowed to be very active. But I always wanted to do more, and I was always excited about the idea. And I feel like Linda saw that in me and helped me believe in myself. And she also is just incredible at giving me a little cue that will help my body. And as soon as I hear the cue, my body can act on it. But until I have the cue, I don't have a clue how to do the moves. So it's just been really exciting. It's been really exciting.
Her first class, I couldn't move anything. But my body felt so good that I knew I wanted to help other people feel that good. And I thought it would take me decades to get to move anything. But Linda was so encouraging and so loving, and explaining the differences that she sees in you, because sometimes we minimize the things that we do or who we are. And with Miss Linda, there's no minimizing yourself, because whether you want to see it or not, she's going to see it in you. And it gives you that opportunity to think, whoa, maybe I am more than I thought I was, or I had no idea my body could do this. And the first time I did TBFM, my first memory came to me as a 6-year-old kid running through the grass. And that's the first time, the only time in my childhood that I remember happy. And it was like, whoa, this is a little bit scary, but it's like playing, but you feel so good after it that you just keep playing again, and it's exercise. So it's a blessing to find Linda, and she's a blessing to all of us, and anybody who has the courage to come and find her will be blessed.
I remember when I first met Linda, I watched her just walk into the room and stand and then sit down and stand up again. And at some point she had mentioned she was in her 70s, and I realized she's twice my age and has more grace than most people my age that are professional dancers still. And I was like, this is important. This is who I want to work with. And I had the honor of doing a whole weekend course that was focused on the shoulder, and that happened to be like my Bermuda Triangle problem area for 9 years. And afterwards, I just went up to her in tears, not only because I had finally had the relief of my shoulder pain that I had been chronic every day for the last 9 years, but also there was a part of me that really felt that I was heard and seen and accepted more than by anyone else. And I also am a person living with post-traumatic stress disorder, and that has colored my life in a myriad of ways. And Linda was able to not just have me trust her, which has only been a small handful of people that I've been able to fully trust in that way, but she's one of 3 people in my entire life that has been able to get me to trust myself after living with the attacks that I have. And you know, she walks the walk, she talks the talk. In her class, Linda will have this most perfectly timed cues of, you know, getting us to go into our bodies to release in ways that I never thought was possible, that I didn't even know needed to be released.
And what she's really done that's changed my life is teach me about the importance of release, because so much of my training was in strength building and stretching, but there was this whole third component of biomechanics that was missing from my understanding of the body, which was that you also have to go off duty to be able to recruit the things that need to be on duty. So I'd been spending years going to physical therapists and being told, you need to do this motion from your shoulder instead of your neck. And I would say, I understand that intellectually, my body does not understand what you mean, because my neck just wants to execute the motion. So I know what you're saying, but I just can't do it. So Linda actually told me how to use my body.
Oh goodness, could I describe Linda? To me, Linda, she is love. Linda is just a big ball of love. She's beautiful. She's strong. She just embodies so many things. She's neither really masculine. She's very feminine, but she's also got this masculine quality to her. So she's kind of this enigma, really. I've never met anyone in my whole life like Linda.
She is fierce. She is kind and direct and pleasant to be around. She is, oh my gosh.
Linda is the best at reading people of anyone I've ever seen. on a technical level, she's an amazing body reader as a teacher. She's able to look at someone and understand what's happening in their body like no one I've ever seen. And that's something that really interests me because I'm trying to learn how to get better at that. She's the best person I've ever seen at it. Part of why she's so good at it is she doesn't just look at the technical things that she sees, but she's able to take in the whole person energetically. And then the way that she communicates with people individually is so catered to what they need to feel successful and to really understand the message of healing that she's trying to give them. So I'm really impressed with her ability to personalize her interactions with people. And all of that comes from just deep, deep love and compassion that she has for all sentient creatures. And that comes through in the way she interacts with everybody. It's really inspiring to watch.
It's like Mother Nature. You learn so much just by observation because there's so much experience and knowledge flowing through that body and compassion at the same time. Yeah. And she's fun. She's hilarious, and I think all intelligent people are hilarious at some level because she keeps encouraging everyone to have a sense of humor, and that's why I love it.
I love the way she talks, the way she moves when she talks, and she has all these idiosyncratic ways of saying things that we have. This is true confessions, but there's a number of people who do Linda impressions. And it's just lovely. They do. I'm not one of them, but well, Gretchen, Anyway.
Me putting my head back at this angle, I swear, changed my life. When I first saw it, I was not even able to do it. I understood it intellectually. I was like, I see what you're doing, Linda, but my neck literally couldn't do it. And there's a lot of moves like that. So that's part of why it's so special to me is I actually feel my own progress. And then it also keeps me on my toes in terms of my own healing process.
It's not just in how I'm healing and moving as a movement artist, but it's like about how I'm brushing my teeth. Like, oh yeah, like lower that shoulder, don't hold tension. And I mean, I usually would grind my teeth at night, and if I forgot to wear my retainer, I would feel it in headaches and stuff. And now I still should try to wear my retainer. But now if I don't, it's not there. Like just the tension that builds even when I'm sleeping is starting to release. So the benefits is down to a cellular level.
One of the first things that I noticed when I was doing the trainings with Linda was that I felt like I could breathe, that I was in a safe place. There was somebody watching over me who would help me not do things that were harmful to my body. And I'd had a lot of trouble with my shoulders. I spent many, many years in front of a computer, and my shoulders have loosened up and are much more flexible. And I spent many, many years in a chair, and my hips have become more flexible and move better. So being in a studio with Linda is like being given permission to explore my natural self-expression, and at the same time being helped to find it. So it's just become easier and easier to move my body in ways that feel good to me. And for many years, I saw my body as a burden and as something to overcome. And I now feel like my body is my friend, and we work together in my life. And it's just a completely different experience than I've ever had before.
I've always been a passionate mover and have taught for many years movement and meditation. And so it's a missing piece in all that I've known on built past knowledge and new knowledge. And when I really have consistent practice, I really feel spirit move my body, and it feels wonderful.
Personally, I've been a spiritual seeker my entire life. I've gone to some fundamental things, some meditation places and things. But one thing that I think about Linda's practice is I found in her practice that my body became my temple. for so many years, I was ashamed of every part. I was numb to the different aspects of my body. And when you work with Linda and she has you point your fingertips or anything, it's like an introduction to your psoas, your fingertips, your muscles, your legs. And it was like, oh my God, there's all these pieces about me that I just took for granted. And I heard her say, you're way on down the road. And I was like, really? So I just love that. To me, this is a spiritual practice. You cannot do this practice without changing and revealing and ridding yourself of a lot of things that have held you stuck for so many years.
It's a feeling. For me, it's a feeling, and I don't know if it's really from the technique or because spirit speaks through technique. But there is definitely a thread of spirit through TBFM. And, sometimes tears come down, tears of joy, tears of feeling the spirit move through you through this technique.
Linda's technique allows me to move in ways that I never, ever thought my body would move. And I have found so much clarity and integration of self in the process. Being able to be aware of so many aspects of my body now. After a long history of trauma, it woke me up and I feel whole for the first time in my life. And I am immensely grateful to her for that. Her compassion, her love, her inclusivity, her acceptance of where you're at is something that's lacking in a lot of the yoga world. And so to find something that blends movement of all types and muscles, to me, it helps me realize that I can help other people. And so I'm working toward my certification so I can bring movement to other people who didn't think they could move.
I used to see new things as a threat, and now I see them more as, well, I'll just explore that. Because one of the things Linda said is explore it. Your body will tell you what's okay and what isn't. And I feel like I do that with everything in my life. Somebody will make a suggestion, let's go do this. And I'll go, my default used to be no, and now it's, okay, yeah, let's try that. And I'll know when I do it whether I like it or not. And so it's opened that up. And I feel like because I trust my own body more, it's translated so that I trust the rest of life more too, in a way that's really magical, and I don't understand and I don't care to understand. It's just beautiful.
She's just magical. She's a shaman. Yeah.